When I was growing up in high school, we didn't figure it was a right to get high. I mean, it wasn't even discussed. We weren't using drugs. We were appalled that somebody would take drugs. I remember when I was in college, just starting at Washington Lee, they had booked a band, a man named Gene Krupa. He was a well-known drummer, and he had a band. And he'd been busted for possession of marijuana, and they canceled him. I mean, everybody was shocked. We got this guy, you know, he's a drug addict. We don't want him. But we didn't. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of drinking, but in high school, there wasn't much of that. And maybe we'd sneak around and smoke a few cigarettes. But the idea of getting high, of having it as a right, that you had to have some substance, you didn't have that, did you?
Well, I think it came in for my generation right after we all got out of high school. It was kind of, and I'm not laying this at their feet, but when the Beatles came to America, it seemed like drugs from a lot of what was going on in Europe came with them.
Well, it was probably part of Vietnam, too, because the soldiers over there, and I mean, the servicemen and women were given exposure to some pretty cheap heroin and other types of drugs, and they were so discouraged. That war was such a mess over there, and they just, you know.
We went through a lot of cultural struggle that began at that time, I think, and the war was a big part of that.
We've got doctors. Everything is an anxiety, and so doctors were prescribing Prozac and Valium and these things by the billions, not just a few million pills, billions of pills. Everybody write a prescription, here, stay stoned, here, stay stoned. Oh, you're upset, your husband's been mean to you, stay stoned. And I mean, you know, billions of those things were going out. So we got a culture that you had to have some narcotic to ease the pain of life.
Well, and I've always marveled at the fact that there's no fear of the repercussions of using some of these things that don't have, you know, I mean, kids have been using household cleaning chemicals and things.
Well,
I mean,
they're sniffing and snorting, and they
not
got
knowing the long-term impact.
Oh, and glue particularly was driving, I mean, making people mentally unstable. It's a terrible thing, ladies and gentlemen, that we would have a culture, but as I say, we didn't have that need, and suddenly we have now. We've got to be medicated. Everybody's got to be high. We've got to have medication. Sure, you got to smoke a little grass. Oh yeah, you're going to shoot a little coke. Oh, absolutely, you got to have a little of this. I mean, snort a little coke, whatever. And now, you know, heroin has become the drug of choice. It used to be in the black community. A lot of people think it's reached up now into the white middle class and above. And
above.
And above. I mean, you know, but the higher levels up, because apparently heroin doesn't have quite as many immediate side effects as some of the other ones. I don't know. I've never used the stuff and don't intend to, but the thing of it is, we've got to do something as a culture. We just can't have a matter of right that you have to be medicated.